Make the ground shake.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host GamerK, and it is time to end the month of May with a game review. And I've got kind of a new setup going on, a new lighting system, new camera stand, so I'm trying something different again. But I'm in the picture, I can still get my artwork in the wall, in frame. So let's continue with the game that my best friend picked for me to review this month. Last year he chose, and I'm going over it, which is Transformers Fall of Cybertron. This game took place, well, it doesn't take place, it was released in 2012, a couple years after the War for Cybertron was released. And boy, I mean, Transformers goes through many different phases, but luckily this game still took concept and story from the first game, being a sequel game, and honestly, from sequel games, does it improve? Does it kind of fall short? Hard to say, so let's dig in. So the game does take place a little time after the first game. I mean, it's not like a yearly thing, because at the end of the first game, Cybertron was dying, and the Autobots were finding a way to get off of Cybertron. Which this game is basically the entire story of how the Cybertronian Autobots and Decepticons made it towards Earth, or at least in this version. And all honesty, they do a pretty good job of making the story. Now, for gameplay-wise, it's basically the same first-person shooter, with a little bit of a not as first-person as like Call of Duty. You still can see your character and obviously transform into the vehicle in order to get around. But a couple things they did add. They didn't add a couple new weapons, which honestly I'm okay with. The weapons they had were great: assault rifles, shotguns, frag launchers, auto rockets, missile launchers, fusion cannons, what else? Sniper rifles, the big turret ion cannon that you can remove, but it actually has a limited amount of weaponry. What else? Oh, one thing they changed is that you can change which position you're shooting from, which honestly, depending on where you're covering fire, so you can switch around. I've honestly enjoyed that, and I wish a lot more shooting games kind of had that function, because honestly, it kind of made a big of a difference to me, being able to switch sides, so I didn't have to be like this and go over to this side and just constantly kind of peek around the corner awkwardly. That's why it feels more fluid that way, so I'm glad that they changed it. Also, big change in this game is that it's still a chapter episodic story, but this one, I mean, the first one had the Decepticon version story going first, and then the Autobots. And unlike the first game, you don't choose who you pick for each level. I mean, in the first one, you get to pick out of 3 characters that were preset in each story. In this one, it's already set for you, which honestly I kind of enjoy, because it kind of gives you, kind of makes you go forward with what the story's supposed to be, not what you want it to be. Which honestly, I'm kind of glad they changed that in this one, because it just feels more, again, more fluid, doing a good motion going through the chapters in the story. That's what's the word I'm looking for? That's predetermined, and honestly, it's done really well. So basically, we start off more with the Autobots and their strive in order to get energy to the Ark in order to rocket off into safety. And honestly, the story is pretty good. It goes half Autobot, half Decepticon, and then it switches around near the end. And honestly, they do it in a really good way, and it's just fantastic that they did it this way. And also, it one thing I really love about this game is the story itself, because you love, if you're a Transformers fan, you're gonna love these characters. I mean, there's not that big plot twist because everyone knows the story. A lot of them know all these Transformers, and honestly, it's well done. And there is always like a secret trophy in the first, in each chapter. But you gotta look for them. You really gotta look hard for them, because they're really easy to miss. A good majority of them, actually. So a lot of the characters. So going into the gameplay again, I do like that each character gets their own special abilities and preset weapons, but then you can find other weapons throughout each level. And the characters kind of vary a little bit. I mean, most of them, for the first couple chapters, you play as Optimus Prime, and then you get to do Cliff Jumper, Jazz, and then you get to play as the Combaticons, and you get to play as Bruticus, which, honestly, this is what I wanted in the first game, to play one of those combiners. And then later on, you get to play as Megatron, a little bit of Soundwave, Starscream near the end, and then we get to play the big budget blockbuster dude, Grimlock. And playing this game and get to playing as Grimlock in the level is, all honesty, what I wanted to do as a freaking kid. Play as the Dinobots and just wreak havoc. And I'll get to that in a little bit because it's later. It's a shame that it's only like 2 chapters in the end, but it works for the story, and it's very well done. And it's a lot better than the stupid Grimlock that they had in the Last Night movie. I'm telling you that right now. Michael Bay dropped the bomb, and this movie was the one that made him awesome. And they even did freaking Metroplex. I mean, how can you not say that this game is awesome? Oh my god. Okay, I'm losing a little bit. That's how great this game is. I mean, is it better than the sequel? Well, the previous game, it definitely does, because unlike in the last one, there was 5 chapters each. So around 10 chapters for the game, 5 for the Decepticons, 5 for the Autobots, but this one has 13 spread pretty evenly, with a epilogue with Bumblebee, the tutorial level, or prologue, because it takes place at the end of the game, and then we find out everything in the chapter 13, where we kind of switch between, which it's honestly pretty cool. If you're gonna end a Transformers game with all the good Transformers, you gotta switch between, because you want to feel like a bad guy and the good guys at the same time, because that's the best part of Transformers. You can like both sides. Let's see. Hatching on my handy notes here. Let's see. So I already mentioned that the no character select, that there's a preset character, which I honestly like. One thing I really also love about this game, that the other one did okay, was making Cybertron feel grand and alive. What the first one did with its preset areas made you know what it was like, and then we got to go further, and not just they didn't do the same levels as last time. We went into a desert area, which honestly was badass. This sky-high skyscraper area with Starscream's level. We went to go through a giant vehicle with the Combaticons. We went through this scientific lab with the Dinobots. We got to go through all over the city with Optimus, just like in the previous one, but even more grander. And they do so many cool moments. Like, so many beautiful designs. And I'm ashamed that they did a third game that was kind of based off of the new Michael Bay movies, because it kind of ruined it. They did not need to do it like that, because it takes away what made this series great, is that it's doing its own thing, and it did not involve source from from the Michael Bay movies. This takes plenty of example from the TV show and the good old Transformers the movie, the first one. And it was awesome. It's so awesome. They even input jokes from the movie and little Easter eggs, like the little lifeline with Optimus dying for one Autobot in distress. They have Perceptor, which honestly is pretty cool. They do Starscream's coronation and Megatron canceling it, basically, in the most badass way possible. You're going to destroy all of Starscream's ruler memorabilia throughout the level before you get to him, which is awesome. We get... Oh, what else do we get in this game from the movie? Oh, I remember. Remember all the funny moments the Dinobots had? Well, they are here. Okay, and honestly, Grimlock and Slag, or I don't know why they changed his name for some reason. I think it's still Slag, and doing cesium salami, beryllium baloney during the level, and it's just perfection. And I'm gonna cut off a little bit. One part I really love in Dinobot's level is that you can't just transform freely. His ability to transform into his dino mode only once you increase his rage enough, and then he transforms, and you get to blow fire, you get to use his tail, you get to bite the crap out of all the Insecticon minions, and they even do the scene from the quintessence when Slag knocks the door down and falls on one of the Insecticons. I can't remember their new names because they changed the names. I mean, why? I mean, Bombshell, Shrapnel, and Kickback were so cool. But they slam the door, he walks on and goes, "Excuse me." And I'm going to tell you, how they do the Dinobots and the Insecticons in this game are honestly really good, because everyone knows from the original game, from the original series, they were created on Earth. But in this one, because Shockwave is basically a great big bad, and I'm going to give a little shout out. Steve Blum, who voiced Shockwave in this game, bravo, my friend. That is why I have the original Shockwave artwork on display, because Shockwave is awesome, and so is Mr. Blum. Continuing. Shockwave discovers a unknown planet with unknown creatures and decide to experiment on them, creating the Insecticons, obviously, and throughout the level, you will see his process of creating the creatures, and also the little Insecticon minions, which it feels good to stomp, chomp, and tail smash. And it's also revealed that in this game, the Grimlock's team were captured, and Shockwave experimented on them and created them into the Dinobots to work for them. And honestly, I enjoy that. And each one has their own cool personality, and they all don't sound stupid. I mean, they don't have that big of intelligence, but they're all there. They got Swoop, they got Snarl, they got Slag. They found a way to kill off Sludge, who was the Brachiosaurus, because if you think about it, there's no real badassness in a Brachiosaurus unless you watch Power Rangers Dino Thunder and Dino Charge. Then there is epicness in a Brachiosaurus. Wait a minute, Dino Thunder was the one where it was a carrier, and the Titanosaur was near the last little bit. So okay, I'm dragging on to another series. I'll get to that one day if I do. So doing that adds story to this universe. And it made it, honestly, a fantastic level. Fighting the Insecticons. And then fighting Shockwave. And the bosses in this game, there's not that many. It's not like the previous one where we fight them one-on-one every level. But there are a good majority of platforming sections and stealth sections that really kind of balance the gameplay a little bit, which, honestly, I enjoy. Let's see. Years ago, before we had to pay for PlayStation Online, there was the multiplayer where you could take any of the characters from the game and basically customize them into your own personal Transformer for battle and multiplayer. And I had so much fun doing that. You could use the Insecticons, you could use the rest of the Dinobots, you could use the DLC characters, you could use characters that you couldn't play as in the game, which I really loved. So, let me think. Going off of everything I said about this game, does it do better than the first game? It does. It improves upon everything. And in all honesty, I'm glad that this game was the last good Transformers game ever, because it did something different. It didn't do anything from the movies. Okay, yeah, they did like little jokes from the movie, from the first movie, like the cartoon movie, but they added more into it to make it feel like a successful game that did not need to depend on the fame and popularity of Michael Bay's movies. So I am honestly saddened that this game was just the final peak of success before the downfall of the Dark Spark thing that they did, which ultimately shut down the Cybertron series video game. And honestly, it's a big shame, because this game could have done so much in the last couple years, but everyone's just going back to basics a little bit with Transformers. And honestly, it's saddening that this is the last good Transformers game I can remember, and it really sucks. Hopefully, with the Beast Wars movie announced, I can get some Transformers back into me and feel the energy of a kid again with this. But going back to the game, the graphics are incredibly polished. The gameplay is fantastic. The scenery is beautiful and varied, which I honestly really like. The combat for each character is varied, so you need to think outside the box. It's not like going all out with this character will do good because this character is not as strong or not as of a heavy hitter. So that's something I really do enjoy. One thing I will definitely say about this game as a negative, 13 chapters isn't that long. It's not that short. But some of them do feel over really quickly. Mostly because 3 chapters are dedicated to Optimus Prime finding Metroplex. And honestly, near the end with Megatron and converting Trypticon into the Nemesis ship, honestly, that was pretty badass. I just wish that they did a little bit more. But you know what? For what we got, this game is pretty good. So if you find this game I'd buy it. It's something any Transformers fan should have, and it's a must for Transformers fans, because this is, like I said, the last really good Transformers game that doesn't dumb down and doesn't need the movies to keep it up. This video game rose on its own, and it kept the Transformers alive. Unfortunately, now it's off to the Allspark because it's basically dying now. But if you find it, play it. It's a great game to play. Fantastic fun for any fan. So, the final verdict for GamerK's final verdict for Transformers Fall of Cybertron is a pretty good 8 out of 10. It gets an 8 out of 10 because of how much nostalgia it brings to any fan. Its ability to transform... Okay, I did not plan that. To transform the movie, the series, into an epilogue story that we all know, but still keep us interested, taking a different twist on it. It's something I really wished in the TV series. But unfortunately, as a game, it does what it needs to do. And honestly, I couldn't ask for anything better. And that's the end of the May videos, ladies and gentlemen. Like, comment, subscribe down below. And coming next month, it's my father's birth month. So all the videos he picked. And if I'm remembering correctly, oh, right. Coming up in the next video, ladies and gentlemen, busting makes me feel good, but doing this list is not worth the trouble. I'll be fat, they be fast, what was it? We be fast and they be slow, and this video is going to be slow and somewhat irritating. This is GamerK, logging out.